Right. Oh, it's okay. Yeah, definitely.
So Rachel and I, we've done a lot of videos where like we'd start talking and then we lead into a conversation, right? Like mid sentence starts recording. So
Right.
this is where now Bethany and you and I have started talking. I'm like, ooh, this is going to be an interesting topic because
Definitely.
um, it's, and the reason why I say that, like the thought that came to mind is that we always try to have these powerful, strong topics that encourage and motivate people. And we do talk about the stuff that sucks, but I feel like it's not enough.
Yeah.
And what we start, this cat is like, give me love.
Right.
His teeth, right? Um, and what basically we started talking about and where it started leading into, start talking about heartburn, and you can kind of go over that topic, what you started sharing with me, and then leading into supplements and taking a lot of supplements and taking them for years, right?
Mm-hmm.
You've taken some paper yesterday. No, I haven't. Okay, it's over there. Help yourself. Just don't take it off. So I guess this would be a perfect time since the distraction came by for you to share what you were talking about in the beginning with your experience of heartburn and then the realization that we came to of what could potentially cause it and then where you were going with
Okay.
stuff in my room.
Yeah. Okay. So like I was saying, like with so I started taking a new green supplement. Now I was like, ooh, I love my supplements. Like this is gonna be so cool. Like I got it in supplement form. Now the first day I took them, I wasn't feeling them, but I was like, well, I mean, so let me start with how they were big pills and you have to take 5 of them in a day. And to me, that was just daunting. And I'm just like, oh boy, that's going to be hard on me. And just right there, me thinking about it now, I was already putting a restriction on those green supplements because I'm like, ooh, that's going to be difficult. But, anyways, so I was like, well, let me try it in different ways. So one day I was like, well, let me try to chew them up or, crush them up and like dissolve them in water. So I did that 2 days. And then the next day I put it in like a tea. And I, what me and you were talking about before we got on here was saying like, because they're meant for like a slow release, like I was already getting them to the point where they are in your stomach, but before they're in your stomach. So all my organs, like you're saying, are absorbing it before my stomach could. So I've been experiencing like crazy heartburn. Like last night, I couldn't even really eat. Like I was trying to eat dinner. I'd eat it super slow because I felt like I had like a lump in my throat and a burning sensation. I felt like I had like something caught. So it also brought me back to like, oh my gosh, am I choking? Which emotionally, like that's rough on you. So acid reflux gets triggered in those moments too, which I learned that last night, which I was like, interesting. But I was thinking about it. And after I woke up this morning and I'm just like, well, what's going on? So I had to reevaluate everything that I take in my system. And so when I did the keto diet like 3 years ago, 2 years ago now, and I had to supplement a lot of my nutrients in supplement forms instead of in the food that I was getting because you're so restricted with that diet. Well, now that I'm not doing it and I'm eating more of a plant-based diet to where it's just like a lot of fruits and vegetables, I haven't taken away any of those supplements that I took 2 years ago. They've always been the same. And I feel like partially my body might be rejecting some of them. Trying to tell me, hey, like, let's reevaluate. And it's kind of like with trusting your intuition. Like, I had to trust my gut because for the first couple days, there was no trusting. It was like, nope, these are going to work. They're great. But in my mind, they weren't great. Like, I was dreading taking them every day. And yeah, so I guess so now I cut back today and I'm feeling a lot better. I cut back to just like a few, just the basics, a multivitamin, my immune support. I take turmeric, and then I take a supplement for stress and anxiety. And that's all I'm taking. and I'm going to see how I feel, because that's the only way to really tell. It's like the elimination, what is affecting me.
No,
So
I agree.
yeah, but it's crazy how things do that. And I think with the greens, it was causing that, like those feelings, because I was already, like I was saying, I rejected the idea to them first thing when I saw them, instead of being like, oh, this would be cool,
And yeah, because that's why I was asking if it's like one of those white capsules or a capsule or however they come, they're meant to pass through the system and go into the digestive system and be digested in a different way and then released into the system through the stomach. Whereas when it's in a way already, like when you were saying you put that in a tea, and that was a day that made it essentially worse for you to feel that there's something in there, almost like swollen, right? That because they were almost pre-digested in the tea, that you were just drinking that and it was already going into your system right away from orally, right? Even though it goes in orally, but it goes into your system through your stomach.
Yeah.
A little bit different because then you went through your esophagus and this is where you felt that lump in your throat. So that could be the reason. I mean, I'm not a scientist, I'm not a doctor.
Right.
Just, I guess an intuitive hit on the way. It's like, that makes sense. So
yeah.
And then I started thinking of the world that we're living in is very encouraging in terms of taking supplements and living off supplements, and which takes us away from nature, right? Because I do understand that there are benefits to it, to all the different supplements, right? I'm not arguing that. What I'm arguing is that were we made to be consuming that kind of stuff? And on a daily basis, some people live on supplements. Like they don't eat real food. They live on supplements. And to me, the answer is no. And that's because we were, as human beings, we're animals. We are animals, if not worse than animals, right? We are animals. We were born in a certain area. So for example, if you're born in tundra, you're going to be eating the food that's available for you in that area. If you're born in Spain, and depending where you live, you have certain foods that are around you and you're living off the land. You're eating that. When you introduce supplements, it's not natural. I mean, naturally made, it's made out of natural products, but it goes through processes that, let's be honest, most of us are not aware of. We don't know what it goes through. We don't know if we're just eating flavored cardboard or not. We don't essentially also know or have the means to go and test it and see what's inside of that. I would imagine some people have, but that's what kind of boggles my mind. It's like supplements, and I have supplements right here on my table. Right, and that's what boggles my mind. Like I have a little box of my vitamins here, and Vigor performance capsules, right, that gives you like energy and stuff. So I have that, and I've had it in boxes here standing because I go through this rebuttal in my head. These are good for you. There's fish oil. How much fish do I need to eat to get my fish oil, to get my omega-3s? So a lot of these things, they make perfect sense. And then calcium. Most milk doesn't have much calcium in it. So how else do we get the calcium in our system, right? Do you get it from eating cheese? And again, cheese affects our digestive system. Most of us know this, or some of us know it, or all of us know it. because it's so processed and it causes leaky gut syndrome. Then what pill do I need for leaky gut syndrome? You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things. And vitamin C, when am I getting enough? Vitamin D, a lot of different things. And we are living in a world where we believe that we need those supplements, and not just in capsule form, also in the powder form, like meal replacements or protein powder, protein shakes. There's whey and not whey and different.
Right.
I mean, my head just spins, but at the same time, I know that there are benefits to all of these things because that is what allows us to live a certain healthy lifestyle, right? Our lives have, like, we've been living longer because of all these new things that have been created over the years. And I mean, I don't know if supplements is part of that because I don't know, like, I don't know how far back they go, but I would imagine they would go back quite far enough because I remember being a kid and eating powdered milk that my parents had, and they were hiding it, but it was so good eating it powdered. And I mean, that really is a supplement if I think about it, because it's dry milk. And that was in 1990s. It's been around for a long time, and we as human beings have been living longer for a couple of generations now.
Right.
So I don't know if supplements have anything to do with it. There is part of my mind is like, they're good for you, and then the other part, it's poison. Don't eat it. Don't drink it.
Right. I feel you there. Definitely. Definitely. And it's just over the last couple days, really, that because before I was like gung ho, like, ooh, supplements, like you're saying, like, but now I'm kind of like, well, like, man, I could be eating this stuff. Like, I could just eat a better diet. And that's also what it came down to that as well, that I didn't mention, is before, like, on those days that I was eating those, I was eating like sugary foods and like high carb foods, and so that's something I usually I like avoid, I'd keep myself away from, because gluten is something else I'm looking into, potentially like interrupting my gut and stuff. So I don't know, my head spins too. It's like, it's hard to process it all.
Yeah. And that right there is what overwhelm feels like. This is what overwhelm sounds like. This is what I, as a human being, get to experience quite often, right? So I'm all about transparency. I'm all about honesty. I'm all about authenticity. So if I sat here and I said, I don't experience overwhelm, I don't get anxious, I mean, all of that, anybody that knows me and watches my stuff, they already know that if I came here now and said I don't experience that, I'd be lying, because I do. And some days and some weeks are more than others. Like, who's playing games? Can we turn it down? Mm-hmm. Are you supposed to be in class? They have online school now.
Right.
Okay, because they're online school, so which basically it means that from 9 o'clock until 3:30, they sit down in front of their tablet or a laptop with their teacher teaching a lesson online. So I'm like, oh, I like this.
Yeah.
I like that they're home, they don't have to go anywhere. Yes, it is distracting, and this is what I was just about to say, that, and this is perfect timing. Talk about that.
Right. And I have it on my end too, because I have my son. Like,
well, yours is always there, right? Yeah. For me, and then not to take that away from you, right? Not to take, yeah, because I'm like,
I got you. No, you're good. You're good.
So yeah, not to take that away from you, because it is a lot, but for me, they go to school, or they were going to school, I get that break, and I get to a certain comfort and routine. And then they're home for the March break, back to March break, Christmas break. And they're home for Christmas break, and so in the first couple of days, I'm okay, I feel good, I feel great, and then all of a sudden, I'm overwhelmed. because I have taken my eyes off the ball. I've been distracted uh, by having fun, by enjoying the moments. And I love that. And I encourage that. But then this is when the gremlin comes in and starts barking at me and starts yelling at me and starts telling me what I should be doing, what I shouldn't be doing, and shooting all over me, right? That's partially the job of a gremlin, to bring me back. And then that's what causes overwhelm, anxiety, and I start feeling crappy about myself. And it's like, oh, what's the point, right? And it's like, want to give up. And this example can be applied to everything in life. Now I'm in adjustment period because last week my husband was home. So it was first my kids were home, so I was able to get some things done. Following week, which is the New Year's week, my husband was home, so it was a whole new adjustment with him there. Now they have online school, which is a whole new adjustment because now they have a routine. I haven't even figured out my routine, so I'm trying to balance their routine with my routine. And it's like all over the place. And then I already adjusted my calendar with other adjustments. So no wonder somebody can feel overwhelmed. Mm-hmm. And now taking the eyes off of me and putting this example of overwhelm and routines back onto supplements and living on supplements, nutrition, essentially, really, that's what it comes down to. How do I take the best care of my body that I possibly can, which also affects the mind, right? The gut, heart, and the mind, they're all really connected. And then the pooping hole, right? So it kind of like lines up. So we got all of that. And what you expressed and then what I expressed also came back into overwhelm. Mm-hmm. Overwhelm of, oh my God, is this good or is it bad? Is it healthy or is it unhealthy? Am I doing the right thing or am I doing the wrong thing? What's going to happen? Am I eating enough? Am I eating good? Am I getting enough nutrition? Am I drinking enough water? Like, anybody else feeling overwhelmed, or is it just me?
I'm glad we're talking about this because it's something that like it is so overwhelming because I've been dealing with that ever since this heartburn thing. It's more like acid reflux, and I'm just like, okay, well, I thought I was on that right path. I thought I was taking all these things that are like helping me, but then having it come down to, well, I'm experiencing acid reflux, that means something's not agreeing. That's a flag, like, hey, yeah. So have taken a step back and being like, okay, let me eliminate it all. I don't know, I hope, no not hope, but I know it will help, because then I could see how I feel, and if it's like, oh, well, I feel great, like I don't even need that stuff anymore, then that's awesome. Or I could start adding it in slowly.
Okay, so now I like that approach. I like that because I would imagine everyone that's watching or listening understands what elimination approach is. Now, I want to hear from you, what is your plan in terms of taking this approach? Because I know you've been taking, like you said, you've been taking supplements for 3 years now, if my memory serves me right, like every day?
Right. Well, honestly, I've been taking supplements since I was a kid. I grew up with it, and then for a good minute, I didn't take any, and then I got back on them, and I always took like a multivitamin. So what I'm going to take, I'm going to take it back to where it's just pretty much like a multivitamin, and that's it. Because who knows, that might be all that I need at this point. I'm just really going to eliminate it all, like everything that could potentially be the issue at hand. I guess. I don't know if I answered your question.
So what I heard you say, with me being distracted and taking a little side note.
You're fine.
Because something you said, the multivitamin, right? I'll get back into it, but I'm going to focus on what you were saying. So what I heard you say is that you've been on supplements pretty much your whole entire life, ever since you can remember. And you want to take an approach of taking a few of the supplements off your menu, and not doing a complete, because there are different ways of how to do elimination, whether you eliminate one, eliminate two, three, or all of them and then start from scratch, right? Or another way, like a very drastic way of how some people have done it, and I know I've mentioned that I've done that, is eliminating everything and just eating one type of a food. The way I've done it, because this was in the previous video that we did with Megan, was carnivore diet. So I went completely carnivore for a month, and that was just meat. Like I wasn't even eating cheese or milk products, dairy products, anything like that until the 3rd week in. So it was just completely meat for the first 3 weeks. And I'm not going to go into my experiences with that, but that's just like one extreme of completely just one focus, right? So what I heard from you is you already did that today. You took some of the supplements out of your diet, and you're not going to do or take them for how long?
I'm going to give it about a 2-week period. I was going to do, unless I'm noticing something like drastic where I'm like, okay, well, let's bring it back in. Cause and when I say supplements, like there's probably like 10 of them. It's like magnesium, potassium, and a lot of this stuff is in a multivitamin already. I was just taking extra because when I was on the keto, you don't eat those things that have all those vitamins. And now I'm eating those things. So I'm like, well, that's why it's going back to a multivitamin. I'm not eliminating everything because I do feel like there is a significance of having at least like a base of vitamins so your immune system stays strong. But yeah, like I'm going to try it out. I've been struggling with this for like 3 days. And it's like, it's time after last night, that crazy, like acid reflux attack I had. I was just like, I can't do this anymore. Like I was in tears. Like, I just want to feel better, And it's just like, then the thought was like, okay, well, eliminate it. Take it away. Like, who's making you take it? No one's making you do it. You're making yourself. So you're punishing yourself at this point. So yeah, I'm ready to stop punishing myself and see what's really helping and what's like maybe a band-aid for something, that I should work through, but I'm taking this because, it makes me feel better and I don't have to think about that as well.
Yeah. That brought me back to the initial thought where people used to live off the land. Wherever they lived, that's what they ate. And anything new introduced into their system would potentially affect their system, right? Now, different types of effects on the system depending on what it is. So in terms of, because you were saying that you take the multivitamin and then the other supplements that essentially are in the multivitamin, and you might be basically overdosing on some of these things without knowing, right? And that got me thinking of, how do we know when we are overdosing on a supplement or we're getting enough of it? You know what I mean? How do we know? Because, for example, the amount of water somebody's supposed to drink is based on their height, their shape, and their goals, essentially, that they want to achieve, like weight loss goals, and the weight. So how much water each person drinks varies from person to person. I would imagine the same thing goes for supplements. So how are we supposed to know? And even, again, supplements don't just mean vitamins. It also means like protein powders, protein drinks, meal replacements. Because when they have the serving in the back, it's for the average person. But let's be honest, most of us are not really average.
Yeah.
All different heights, different shapes, different sizes, different backgrounds, different land we lived on, that we ate, that our bodies are used to. Like if a person grows up eating potatoes all the time, chances are potatoes not going to make them fat because they're used to eating that.
Right.
The person that has never eaten potatoes starts eating potatoes, it might have the opposite effect on them. So a lot goes into there. And that's why I would imagine going to a professional, like a nutritionist or a herbologist, depending on which route one wants to take. And this is where, when you mentioned multivitamin, another entire conversation that came to mind that I had with one of my friends who knows a lot about herbs. And that one of the things that she said was she doesn't believe in multivitamins, and that you can get a lot of vitamins and nutrition that you need from plants, from herbs, right? And some of them, of course, you would need to drink a lot more of them or eat a lot more of them than if you were taking a supplement, but also making sure that where you buy the supplement, that they know what they're doing and that actually what you're getting is the actual product inside, right? So in terms of, I'm not even sure where my thought is going with all of this.
I have heard that before.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, but I have.
What are you hearing from what I have just said?
See, for me, like I have heard that with the multivitamins, but at the same time, like with what I've experienced, like I think they're great because you get a base. And then, you eat the foods but like when you went to the whole thing of like, how do you know? The only way to know is to get tested. And the only way to do that is to go to a nutritionist or even like a doctor sometimes, like a digestive specialist. So it's really hard to gauge that kind of stuff. And I agree. Like if you just eat like certain things, definitely. I love the herbal thing on it. That's why I take turmeric, because turmeric is like one of those amazing little herbs, and like cayenne pepper. I definitely love the herb side, but I don't know if I agree with her on that whole other part of the multivitamin. But I have heard it before, and many different like people that are like into herbs, or I'm not sure what their title is, like herbists. I don't know. I don't want to be herbologist or something.
Herbologist.
Yeah. Right.
It's kind of like what comes to mind for me in terms of understanding. It's like some people are consumers and some people are not only consumers, but they understand how to read the label. Right. Understand what goes into this product, what effects it has, whether it's positive, negative, or neutral. That's kind of how I see these professionals, these nutritionists, these herbologists, and I'm sure there's other titles for people. So anybody watching, listening, feel free to share those with us and for the following watchers or readers or listeners. But that's how I kind of understand what they do, is that when you and I look at a herb, it's a plant. It has green leaves, it has a stem, has a flower or no flower. That's our understanding of it. The consumer looking at the box, oh, the cereal box looks fun. It must taste good, so let's buy that. Whereas the nutritionist, the herbologist will look in the back and see what's inside of it, and they understand it. And by looking at a plant, they're really essentially just reading what goes in it and the benefits of it, the advantage, disadvantage of it, right? So that's kind of how I understand it. And that's why I personally can't argue with a professional. Yeah. But at the same time, I'm not one of those people that is very quick to say, that's it. That's it. I'm dumping my multivitamin. I am going head on with this one, right? But at the same time, it makes sense. So for me, I guess it's the skeptic. That's how I would describe it. I've always been skeptical, or another way to call it is questioning everything that's being put in front of me, questioning the status quo, questioning the question, questioning everything. And there's nothing wrong with that because it helps me to understand what are the benefits of this product for me.
Yeah. Because
Right?
we're all different, you know, everything affects us differently. For one person, multivitamins aren't going to be the way to go. And for some people, it's like going to be the best thing for them. You know, it's, yeah.
And that also makes sense in like how it makes sense in my head is if you grew up taking supplements, that means your system is ready for it, which means that you kind of grew up eating potatoes, right? Your system is equipped, your system is ready for it. Whereas somebody else who has never taken a supplement, never taken a multivitamin takes it, they might have a different reaction to it, right? So that also makes sense.
Right. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, so I've definitely like heard of some cases when I've done researching, like, and it's like I had this severe reaction to the, you know, even in the stuff that they make the supplements with, not even the vitamins in it, but you know, like their like binding factors. I'm not a professional on that, so I don't I don't know everything completely, but you know, just like the, I guess fillers, that's a better word to say.
Yes.
Like the fillers in it, the way to get it, it's all like compacted into a pill. And I've heard of people being allergic to that kind of stuff. And to me, I'm like, man, that would suck. But me reevaluating diet and like what I eat, I'm like, I mean, vegetables, fruit have a ton of vitamins in it. Ton already.
And some would argue that they have too much sugar and that sugar is not good for you. But then again, everything has sugar. The bread we eat, really, probably even the water we drink has sugar in it. Sugar isn't everything. Now, I personally would prefer to eat a sugary fruit over having a teaspoon of sugar.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Right. Whereas for other people, they might argue different, which I don't think there's too many people that would argue differently.
Right. And yeah, unless they're having a closed mind to something or, you know, like defending. It could be like when their ego's being provoked, you know, it's like, oh, no.
Never know, right? Never know. And if you want to argue the side of the sugar, by all means, go right ahead. I'm just not going to be part of that argument.
Yeah, same here. I'm like,
because that's just to me and to you, Bethany. I know we both understand that that's just the ego talking because really we're all entitled to our opinions.
Exactly.
We're entitled to sharing our thoughts. And I don't tell you that yours are wrong. You don't tell me mine are wrong. It's just this is mine, this is yours. And in the end, they can mishmash and we can come out with a whole new thought on that.
Right. Who knows? We might brainstorm over this week, be thinking about this, and then next we could come back and be like, oh, hey, I figured this out, you know? Because right before we got on this this call, I honestly was writing in my journal about some organization I did and like reflecting on the supplements. Because I actually, like, I keep all my supplements in one cabinet, but some of the ones I don't take, I just push in the back. So instead of pushing the back, I removed it and I moved it to a different cabinet. So like my supplements I take that's all I take that's in the cabinet.
Yeah.
And I feel better about that. It's interesting. It's like,
you know what, because in what it sounds like is you're organizing.
Yeah.
Decluttering.
Yes.
Which it does feel good for the brain. That's why I love decluttering. I love getting rid of things. We did that. We got rid of a couple of things in the kitchen the other day, just through the utensils, right? After watching Minimalism on Netflix, which is a really great show. But the thought that popped into my mind now is that it's interesting that we're talking about supplements now. So I'll have to go in and do a little bit of digging for myself to see what it actually means. But what I will be trying to figure out is these supplements that I showed in the box, they've been in the bucket under my table, which is my footstool. Okay, I'm that cool. So they're like kind of like a storage box that I have there that I put my feet on because I'm short, I can't reach the ground when I'm sitting down in this chair, or on most chairs really. And yesterday was the first time in I think about 3 months that I took some of them out and I took them.
Okay.
So we haven't talked about supplements in like ever.
It's been a very long time. I think when we like maybe like a lot. Yeah, I don't even remember. But
So in other words, there is a connection between me taking them yesterday and having this conversation now. I don't know what it is. I can't tell you.
it will show itself. It will. Because it's interesting, I had the reaction to supplements yesterday, like, and something I take, and the last couple days I've been reevaluating. So, yeah, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh, I dig it.
Yeah, I'll figure it out. And I might share that with you, Bethany.
Okay.
But, anybody else interested? By the time you ask and watch this or listen to this audio, if I remember, ask me and I'll let you know. Chances are I might remember.
Or we might have the answer then.
Yeah. I might be like, I give up. I didn't even bother figuring it out because there's a lot more important things on my list, which is a really long list. I keep like looking at it, like I don't want to see it.
Yeah, I like that you brought that up too, because I felt like, my morning routine, part of it was supplements, and it just is like so draining to be like, okay, I'm gonna take supplements now. Oh wait, I gotta take these supplements now. Oh wait, I gotta. So now I feel like it's just like more smoothly, like.
Yeah, that's another thing that's a great point, because thinking in terms of routines and the things that we have on our to-do list, because that's really what a routine is. Some of it is conscious and most of it is not conscious, right? So this sounds like it was a conscious routine for you where you had to take certain supplements and put it, I know because you were putting a lot of things in your coffee and mix it on the coffee and this and that.
I'll be honest, I still do the coffee ones. I'm not giving those up, but the pill supplements, yeah.
Like you, at the same time, what you're expressing right now is like, I get a sense of what's working for me, and I feel intuitively what's working for me, and at the same time, I also feel intuitively what might not be working for me. So, in terms of what do I feel like giving up? Because feeling, again, intuition is a feeling, right? It's a sense. It's a sense of kind of like knowing, and intuition is kind of like a tricky thing because, and at the same time, it's not so tricky because that essentially works the same for everyone. It's just a sense of knowing. That's how I would describe intuition. And a sense of knowing on what you feel like, kind of like, let's eliminate this because this could be that, right? And keep this because I have a feeling that it's going to work. And honestly, that's the way I would always recommend for people to go. And as well as talking to a professional, right? In terms of enough, too much, not enough, right? Do I even need this?
Yeah. In my mind, I was like, yeah, I need all this stuff, but do I really? And then me like talking about how taking supplements is draining. I think that's like a big like, I wrote it down because I was just like, wow, like never thought I would say that. Like, honestly, I'm looking for ways to take my vitamins when I eat, when I have my meals instead of,
And honestly, that's how it was feeling for me. I got really excited. I think it was around springtime, or maybe, I think it was a springtime, end of spring, when I got really excited and started looking into herbs, and I got a bunch of herbs. And one thing I will say, whenever I drink them, because the lady that I spoke to, she suggested a few herbs based on the needs that I expressed to her. And whenever I do drink them, I feel great. right? And I've heard of a few of them, and a few of them are actually like, for example, like marshmallow root. Now, on top of my head, I don't remember what it's good for, but I know it makes me like I feel great when I drink that, and you gotta drink enough. And then the other one is lion's mane. So lion's mane is a mushroom. Some people might have heard it, might have not, but lion's mane is a mushroom that really, what it did for me, I gotta buy more, and I get in the powder form, right? An actual mushroom in the powder form, and I would drink that with with like tea, like put it in my mouth and then just chug with typically not water, because it kind of amplifies the mushroom flavor, which I don't mind, but not first thing in the morning.
Right.
But it almost like clears my mind, and I'm able to focus and think more clearly. It's for me, all I mentioned was foggy brain, clouded mind. And that's one of the things that was in response. So I forgot where I was going with all of this.
I have heard that those being very good supplements. Like,
yes. And again, depending on where you were getting it from, right?
Yeah,
like,
exactly. I don't want you to lose your train of thought again. So.
I caught my train because it was trying to leave. I'm like, no, you're not going.
Right.
So the train I thought is this, that I was also feeling like, and it wasn't just the herbs, it was also the supplements, the capsules. And the herbs, for me, I'm like, oh, that's fun. Put in hot water, let it brew, let it stew. I can keep it in the fridge. I can drink it and mix it with water, add a little bit of honey, because honey is much better than sugar. So I have my coffee with honey. I have no sugar in my coffee. My dog is laying and her leg is like moving and twitching upside down. So like, oh, cute little fluff. Squirrel moment.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And so anyways, I was feeling like it was just dreading that routine. Oh, I gotta wake up and have my supplements. And I have no problem with swallowing the pills, right? So like some of them, like I can show you. For example, like most of the fish oils, they are pretty big, right?
Yeah.
So like,
right. That's something like I stopped taking. Like I'm like,
and I have like two of these big ones. So the rest of them, I think there's like a couple of them in here. And then this one, a white one like this, which is almost the same size. So I have three big ones in here. And then four just, they're kind of like that. So in comparison.
right. Yeah.
So, and then four little ones and three big ones. So seven in there. And I mean, I have no problem just taking them all, shoving them in my mouth and swallowing with a really big gulp.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the kind of like the lazy side of me. It's like there's so many, I can't just take them all by one. It's too tedious, too much work. So just suck it all up in one gulp, one swallow. And sometimes it's like, I need more liquid. Right?
Yeah.
I know some people that have a fear of swallowing pills. I'm sorry.
Right. Yeah. Sorry.
Not here to trigger that, but because it was becoming like that, dreading my routine. I got to take this in the morning, then drink my meal replacement or drink a protein shake because, we're going to build muscle. And I'm like, I don't got to do none of that.
Yeah. It's free. Like not having those vitamins today when I just had a couple, I was like, these are all I take. Okay, cool. Like, nice. Wow. Yeah. And before it'd be like, okay, well, I got to take this one and this one. And it'd be like, no, I got to go grab all my supplements. Cause like you have, I had many of them, like fish oil. I took maca in a supplement form, and I mean, I feel like they're helping. There's other stuff. There was like potassium and magnesium and shit. What else was there? There's fish oil. I think I said that already. Anyways, like, it just feels like can breathe. Yeah. And Brian, my husband, he said he made a really good point. Like when I got those green supplements, and he's like, well, why don't you just eat your greens? Like, why do you have to take a supplement? I'm like, well, I drink them. Like, what do you mean? Like, I already take them in this form. And yeah, I don't know. It's just like me having that problem and after like thinking about what he said and being like, wow, okay. I mean, that is a good point. I can just eat them.
Yeah.
I don't need to be spent, just, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah. No, I'd be curious to hear how much salad or greens do you have to eat to replace that one capsule?
It's a lot though. But at the same time, I think it might have been too much because it did say only start out with 1 or 2, but me, I was like, I've been taking greens. I'm going to do all of them. And that could have been part of it too. I didn't start out like they suggested. Maybe what they have in it is just like supercharged, like,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know.
And,
Yeah.
and because it could be, like you said, supercharged. There could be a lot more in that one capsule than what you're used to. So almost like overdosing.
Yeah.
And the other thought that popped into my mind was in terms of routine, right? And this, how do I put it into simple, quick words? Because to me, it all kind of comes through as like a feeling. And the feeling is this: waking up excited and feeling excited for what you're going to be doing throughout the day, right?
Yeah.
So if we have a routine that we're not enjoying, or something in our routine that we're not enjoying, that we're dreading, um, finding a way to eliminate it, right? Completely getting rid of it, or delegating it, or doing something else around that specific thing that will make it less dreadful. So the first thing that comes to mind for me is always dance, right? So if, for example, taking the supplements is a dreadful part of the routine, doing it with a dance might ease it.
That's
Right?
true.
Doing it with music might ease it. Watching an awesome Netflix show might ease it. For some people, it might be taking a shower,
Right.
preparing for that. So having something fun to do before that dreadful moment, and incorporating it together, doing it together, right? Kind of two in one. So that way it does take a little bit of fun away from the fun thing.
Yeah.
That fun thing should be something that is really, really, really fun. So that way you're still willing to do it in combination with this dreadful thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. Cause like for me, like my first thing, I meditate, I do yoga, I get ready, and I am like pumped. And then it's like, oh, I gotta take my supplement. Like,
Yeah, well,
and then I'm like, well, let me do some cardio. Oh, okay, I'm back again. But then it's like, oh, I got to take my supplements because I would take them a couple times a day. And so I just think it was just like that. Yeah, what you're saying too. And it's got to that point where that's all I would do with that. And I mean, I think it also could be a big mind over matter thing. Like I'm telling myself, like, this is hard, this is rough. Like, of course it's going to be rough. Like it's going to be hard to do.
Yeah, you're conditioning yourself and you're getting yourself ready and pumped up, or depumped, if that's the word. If it's not, it is now, or depumped for what you're about to do. The mind plays a huge role. We can, like what you also were saying in the beginning, is that you already had a certain outlook or certain, you were looking at these pills a certain way, and that it could have something to do with the effects that your body is going through. Again, that is also very possible because the mind is extremely powerful. Most people don't even know how powerful it is, and those that know how powerful it is sometimes might feel a little bit of like fear of just how powerful the mind is.
Right. Oh,
it has an effect as well.
It scared me at first. Yeah.
And I mean, the mind is extremely powerful. We are all creators, whether we believe it or not. And I know there's going to be people that are not going to like this conversation. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
Right? But these are real conversations that I love having.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not here to rub anyone the wrong way. I'm not here to tell you that it's bad, don't do it. I'm not here to tell you it's good, don't do it, right? Whichever way. This is just a conversation. This is just thoughts, feelings, emotions, our own experiences. And at the end of the day, I really couldn't care what anyone does with it, right? And at the same time, I really don't care what anybody thinks of what I do and what I don't do. And a small part, I'm not gonna lie, that we all do care. It's just human nature to care.
Yeah.
I would like people to accept all of it, but at the same time, I know that's not the reality. So if you don't, too bad, right?
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to watch this one. I don't know. Or listen, you know.
You watch it all the way to the end, and then it's like,
Right.
oh, wow, you should have told me this in the beginning.
Right. Disclaimer at the end. No,
yeah. But again, nobody is really a professional. I mean, there are professionals, and we're
right.
But in terms of even a professional, whether it's a doctor, a surgeon, nutritionist, herbologist, even they know it all. Nobody knows it all because the internet has way too much information. You know what I mean? There's so many books out there on the same subject. There's so much information on any one single topic that even the professional is not going to know it all. And if they tell you that they know it all, I personally would not trust them. I personally would not go and get advice from that person because the know-it-alls probably have the biggest ego of them all. And chances are they might also be the type of person that would go into a classroom setting knowing it all, not being open to learning anything, which means they walk away with not knowing anything new, right? So that's why I personally would trust a person that says, I don't know. I don't know it all. I know very small or I know a medium size, but that's pretty much where it would really stop. The medium knowledge, right? Because we can expand throughout our life.
Right. Yeah, and for me, this is like this conversation here is kind of a hard pill to swallow. I feel.
I like that.
Because you know of how supplements have been for me, and I've always been like, oh no, they help. I mean, I recommend them to people, and now I'm kind of like, well, like shit, should I be recommending them? Like, I don't want someone to have like a reaction like I do, but and not know what it's coming from that, and then keep taking it and keep having that same reaction. So it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, I'm not a professional. I just know from my personal experience, and I can tell you only from that. And that's like what you were saying earlier, we know from what we know. We know from what we experience and how we feel, but everyone feels things differently.
I'm sharpening the crayon.
Oh, okay. Make sure you put that in the garbage. Mm-hmm. Okay? Garbage. These are for the double garbage, because otherwise if you tell him to put it in the garbage, he'll put it on the counter somewhere. But if it's garbage, it's in the garbage.
Yeah, boys, right? I know. I have to do that sometimes.
And I totally hear you on being kind of like having that internal conflict.
Yeah.
When it comes to promoting supplements.
Right.
And on this hand, it's like, I don't know. Maybe I'm doing more harm than good. I'm exactly where you are, and that started for me last year. And I'm still trying to figure out. So because, I do promote supplements, right? For different parts of the body, so to speak, right? So for the mind, for vigor, which is for the energy, right? I'm trying to remember what the name was called. I had to look at it, and I didn't even see it because it's upside down. I just had to look at the to see it. And for the weight loss, which I don't like to call it weight loss, I would like to call it weight reduction. So you know that, right? You know that I promote these products and I sell these products.
Yeah.
That's one of the reasons why I took a pause. I didn't stop, but I took a pause, right?
Yeah.
And I don't entirely focus on that because I want to figure out that part myself and feel, because in order for me to put my name behind something, to promote something, I need to be able to say that I'm comfortable with it and I'm consuming it myself. And that's the thing. I do consume these products. I still do to this day, but I'm not putting anything out there because I'm focusing on the other part of my business growth. And you know that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Some of the viewers and watchers and listeners would probably know that as well. But I took a pause on that because there is that contemplation going in my mind, right? Is it doing more good than bad? Is it good or bad? Is it harming or is it not? Is it helping or is it not, right? What are the actual benefits of it? So with some of the products, I entirely 100% agree. Whereas with the others, I still have that doubt.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that nobody can give me.
Yeah.
That's something that nobody can give you. That's something that only you can give to yourself. And anybody else that's watching, got hair on my mouth. From my cat. It was
right. Ramsey. He's like, hey, Mom, here. Left you a present.
Yeah, and he's not even that hairy. But for anyone that's listening or watching, nobody can give you the answer. Nobody can tell you what to do. At the end of the day, the decision is entirely up to you. You're the one that gets to decide if it's working for you or not working. I mean, a lot of us go to a doctor and we still, in the end, I'm not going to listen to a doctor because I know best.
Yeah.
Sometimes that's the truth. Right? And for me, my example of that truth was the doctor was telling me, because I was on antidepressants, I got off of them. And then the second time around, the doctor told me, I need to go back on them. Doctor's orders. Took them for a week and a half. And that's when I decided, not doing that. Not for me. So a couple of $100 got put in the garbage because I'm not going to flush them down the toilet. Put that in the garbage because I don't want to, right? Because there's something else that was telling me that this is not for me. Intuitively, I knew it was not for me. And if I continue to take them, I would not be here right now. I would not be having this conversation. I would be somewhere else. And that's just the truth because it took me to throw them out. And again, I was in a certain place where I was able to do that. I'm not telling anyone to go and do that.
Yeah.
Again, listen to your professional. But for me, that's just me. That was my journey and it worked for me. And if I would continue to take them, I would not have stumbled upon this self-growth or development path. And of course, if things were getting worse, then I would know that there's no choice, right? But I have a certain support system in place. So that's where I listen to my own advice as opposed to a professional. Because keeping in mind that I spend more time with myself than doctor spends with me. So I know myself more than the doctor knows me in that 5, 10, 15-minute visit.
Yeah.
Right?
I agree. I did the same thing with some supplements. Or not supplements, but medication. Threw it away. My doctor's like, oh, are you sure? You should, get off of it. And I'm like, I'm good. I found ashwagandha, and that helps tremendously with anxiety naturally. And that's a supplement I will always take because I've tried eliminating it and it helps me. So that's one that I know. But this last time I went to go see my doctor for my yearly checkup, I was telling her everything I take. And she's just like, you're healthy. Like, I'm so proud of you. And it was just like, and that made me also think, because I didn't tell her all the extra supplements I take. I didn't tell her all the other pills. I just told her the main ones: turmeric, the ashwagandha, the multivitamin, and then the elderberry I take for your immune system. I didn't and those were when she was like, well, that's great. If those help, take them. And honestly, us having this conversation brings that back up to me. And it's like, oh, maybe she was telling me from a higher place that, hey, take it away. And I just haven't listened. So my body's like, oh, I'm rejecting, like, because your body rejects things when it's time to let it go, it rejects it.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot to this conversation.
Oh yeah. It could go on forever. I bet we could.
I know. I mean, we know ourselves. We can go for hours from morning to night.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I love
it. It's been that long? No.
Yeah, well, it's been an hour and 7 minutes now. But
yeah, I saw that right now. I was like, oh wow, I thought we were only on here for like 30 minutes.
No. That's why these ones, give me a minute, Mila. We're just wrapping up, okay?
Yeah, I got your eyes.
Really quick.
This is going to be really quick. This will,
please.
You standing here will help me. Okay. I'm going to put my screen. Sorry.
Well, this was a very growing conversation. I'm glad we talked about it because honestly, we both had that like, oh, I'm not sure with the supplements. And we didn't tell each other that, we didn't have that conversation ever. So it's cool that we were able to come together and have this conversation and gain some clarity for both of ourselves. Because I know I gained some clarity. And I will tell you, this lump that I was feeling, it's like barely there. Like, I don't know. It's just like, I feel a lot better. And I feel like, I was holding it down and my body's like, no.
Is it a candle?
I mean, now
trust yourself.
I'm not going to get into the conversation, but I will end it with this thought. Could be an energetical block as well.
It's like vanilla.
Yes.
Whole entire conversation.
Darn.
Right, I know. Mine said
I know your mind went there already. Because I remember during one of our calls, you felt that lump and you were able to actually get rid of that lump during our conversation. And then you were able to, everything was just coming through. It's like that throat chakra block, right? So that's another thing. And that's why you're unblocking it and it's going. Mm-hmm. But again, that is an entirely different conversation, yet it is the same conversation because it comes back to health.
Yeah, if it's meant to be, we'll maybe talk about it next week. Who knows?
Where that conversation will take us. But it was a pleasure.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
It helped my headache because I've been doing a lot of...
no, like good food.
Not from that. No, I have a headache. I've been doing a lot of... internal growth, right? And opening up. I'm working on my third eye and my crown chakra, and this is where the pressure it's coming out, right? It's gonna basically, like, the way I see it is taking all this and like turning it inside out, but at the same time it still kind of stays intact.
So you want a third eye on your forehead?
Okay,
well, there is a third eye on your forehead.
To you. Yeah, I'll explain it to her.
Yeah, I'm like, this is gonna be another whole conversation.
Right? Yeah, so this is where like all of my head pressure and
good. Well, I'm glad we could both give each other some relief and clarity and just have the rest of our day be a fabulous, magical day.
Yeah. Gotta go and get some work done on my list now. So this was awesome. Thank you. I'm now curious of what we're going to be talking about next week because there's always something.
I know, yeah.
I love it.
A lot happens in a week. I love it, yeah.
I know, right? And it's just anything that comes to mind, and it's typically similar topic. It's like, oh, let's go. Let's do this.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
All righty. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. Yes. I'll see you later.
And thank you everyone for listening and for watching. Love to hear your feedback. Anything goes, but at the same time, keep it nice and keep it clean.
Are you gonna post it?
Yes, I will be. Mommy has a lot of plans that make my head spin. But little thing at a time, little baby steps, and then we'll get there.
One day at a time. Yeah. All right. Until next time.
Until next time.
See you later. Bye.